Hello, my friends. As you know, TV show The Guest is 20 episode TV show. So let's say this is part 2, but I'm not sure if I'm going to make the ending because the ending wasn't really promising since it was predictable that the main motivation of the main character, Sonia, is revenge on Lorenzo. Lorenzo is Sylvia's husband. And so, as we already know, Sylvia and Sonia, they met on this trip, which wasn't really the coincidence because basically Sonia already knew that this trip is where she can meet Sylvia. So she came exactly to meet her and to get closer. But not only that, because she basically took her phone on the trip, and as I understand, she's stealing all the information and she has stolen the photos, address, probably everything. So this is where Sonia found out everything about Sylvia and Lorenzo. But after that, when she already came, it's been only a month. So since that trip, they were together on that trip month ago, and after a month, just a short period, that short period, and they already reunited. So basically, Sonia came after a month to reunite with Sylvia and to make it look like she is just looking for a place to stay. So that month gap between the trip and between Sonia became a guest of Sylvia is not actually long enough to understand the, like how deep their connection is, because they just first met on the trip and she is already coming to your place to stay as a guest, and without proper building, build up to this point, we cannot really understand the, like, how that connection, how that friendship actually, started so quick, because 1 month is just not enough to build up this, relationship the way it is right now, because now Sonia stays at Sylvia's and she's already even getting intimate with Sylvia. So to basically come to this point, you need something more than just one, trip together, and then just month later you just come and claim that you still have something for that woman. But I'm not sure why having 20 episodes, they didn't really make that build up, for this moment. For example, when Sonia came, they could have really come up with something like the bridge between that trip and to this point. So we could have just seen the exact development of this friendship and why they were really close on that trip, because the only thing they just basically found in common was that their marriages basically were ruined, and Sonia's marriage wasn't really a problem for her because she never really broke up with nobody. She just made up that story. But Sylvia's story is the real and she was really suffering from her marriage. And she basically found that trip as a way to basically get some rest from that marriage. And on that trip, basically, she met Sonia, so she fell for Sonia easily because she was so vulnerable, basically. And this is just enough to build the whole episode about the trip and about them being friends and becoming even more close. But this TV show never used that opportunity, unfortunately. But what this TV show actually used, they perfectly implemented the therapists and how they communicate with clients, and all the sessions, all the therapists in this TV show, they feel so real due to probably good writing, specifically of the scenes with therapists. So basically, after that moment, when Sonia and Sylvia, they actually just reunited, not only physically but emotionally. They are together again. After Lorenzo went to basically his professional duties, they were already together. And after he came back, basically, he didn't basically spot them on. He didn't come the moment they were together, but he came the other day, and next morning, basically, he spotted Sonia lingering around with her appearance looking like she is trying to seduce Lorenzo. Basically, she is trying to seduce him, and her goal is not only seducing him. In this TV show, her primary goal is making this family struggle and making Sylvia hate Lorenzo. So she wanted to show that Lorenzo is not capable of loving someone, and she's gonna use him as that tool in achieving that goal. So she is gonna show Sylvia that Lorenzo has never changed, that he is still the same unfaithful guy who is going after first beautiful woman he came across. And he came across Sonia multiple times, and due to his therapy, he is able to sustain this temptation. He can resist her, he can resist this attraction, and he can control himself. But this is only timely, and this is like at some level of that seduction, he is going to fall for it because he is not completely in control of himself, but he has some level of awareness of what he's doing right now. So he's kind of changed, but not like completely, So Sonia believes that he never changed at all. Like, she can easily just, get him fall for her. And basically, he asks her number. He asks Sonia's number because Sonia basically asked him for a favor because they have a secret, a mutual secret, and that secret involves Lorenzo's daughter. And Lorenzo's daughter basically ran over a man and put him in the hospital, and that man basically is in coma. So to keep this secret, Sonia basically asked Lorenzo a favor, and that favor involves Sonia's friend being in jail. He is locked up in a prison, and she wanted to make Lorenzo help that friend, basically. But that friend never existed. She just made up that friend as well. She made up everything. And now she's really scared right now, because she sees that Lorenzo is not only controlling himself, but he is able to take the whole situation under his control, because not only didn't he fall for her tricks for this seduction, but he asked for something that, playing into his hands, not into Sonia's hands. Because if this friend of Sonia's never existed, that means that she is playing the whole family this whole time, and he is about to find out. But she is pretending as everything is okay, and Lorenzo is controlling himself using these same techniques he learned from his first therapist. And his therapist basically came up with this idea that every time Lorenzo feels like he is losing control, he needs to just, stop himself by using this rubber on his wrist. And by hitting his wrist, he will feel less excited about doing something unfaithful, So this kind of works, but will it work forever? I'm not sure. And this TV show just shows that even this smart moves like this, they are not going to help you every time, And in Sonia's situation, she needs just one right moment to make him fall completely, But in Sylvia's situation, basically, there is another session of hers, and with her new therapist, he basically took a private session without Lorenzo to understand whether she has something for Sonia or not. And since she is feeling more for Sonia than for her husband, she is completely lost, and she is trying to basically figure out what's happening, because she sees this whole situation with Sonia as something similar to her husband's situation, because her husband was always unfaithful, and now she cannot even blame him for it, because she is kind of unfaithful as well. And since she has this Sonia guest in her house, it seems like she made a mistake by letting her in, and knowing that they already had some history on the trip, she could have really just never let her in, But she did. And that means basically that this is already a tendency. This is not just a coincidence. And she's trying to basically justify it as this whole situation with Sonia just came right in the middle of her crisis with Lorenzo. So this is just, the perfect time to happen. And she is blaming Lorenzo for his taste in intimacy, that his taste is just so, weird and not in any way matching her taste, basically. That his taste basically made this happen because he is looking for something she's not able to give him. And she's just, seeing this closeness with Sonia as something her husband is not able to give her. So basically, she's compensating this, whole lack of Lorenzo's, skills of satisfying his wife. He is just basically not able of normal, conventional, traditional ways of satisfying a woman, and he is preferring something extraordinary. But Sylvia is just not that person. And basically, the whole situation started with Sonia being more of that free-spirited woman who is able to offer Lorenzo something his wife never did. And using all types of tricks, Sonia can easily implement any of those to seduce either Lorenzo or Sylvia, and she managed basically to seduce both. But first, she reunited with Sylvia, and Sylvia basically was just the bridge between Sonia and Lorenzo, and the initial target was Lorenzo, but using Sylvia as that connection, she can make this situation even easier, to take all the attention from Lorenzo to Sylvia and their romance. She can make Sylvia just completely blind, and she can make Sylvia, see only things happening between them, but not happening between Sonia and Lorenzo. And the initial goal of Sonia's is retaliating on Lorenzo. So she is still sticking to this plan, and she is attending every possible dinner, every possible meeting to basically get closer to that goal, to that final hit. And her journey basically started with this therapist who basically was a therapist of Sonia, of Sylvia, and Lorenzo. And she basically came to find out about Lorenzo and Sylvia and their struggling and their information, personal information, and more. And after she killed that therapist, not directly, but he basically fell off the roof because of her, she took this situation under her control, because there is no therapist, there is no witness that Sonia is somehow involved in getting to know this family. And she made up this whole story with that trip and how they met, but she knew this whole time that Lorenzo was the exact person who caused her a lot of pain long ago when she was a teenager. Basically, Lorenzo did something terrible, but was it really enough to wait this whole time and to retaliate on someone who did something to you 20 years ago or 30 years ago? I don't know, but was it really worth to wait this long? Or should have she just retaliated on him immediately after that happened? The question is just, the TV show is using this to drag out this whole season to 20 episodes, of course. So, but the most obvious way she could have used is just immediately reporting on him after that happened. But since Lorenzo is still having those problems with controlling himself, she is just using this as a way to basically get him suffer, since she knows his weakness, and his weakness is a beautiful woman, and his weakness basically, of course, Sonia. So she is basically the person who can easily basically make him suffer. So knowing all that, she's basically using every opportunity to make him, losing control. But it's not like she is managing to do so. Like, she's not managing to immediately seduce him. Her attempts basically, multiple times failed due to his techniques that his therapist, taught him. And all those moments, he's just using that technique, and basically he is able to resist it. But it's really become obvious that he is going to fall for her. And at some point, Sonia is, making her final hit. But before that happened, we got to know another friend of Sylvia's, and this friend is way more smart than Sylvia herself, because Juliana basically is the only friend of Sylvia's who is able to see the suspicious things happening around this woman, this guest, Sonia. And she is the only person who is actually suspecting something, because Sylvia is not just that smart. And Juliana is immediately feeling that something is off. And she's basically overheard everything about the Lorenzo and Sonia situation. And she's thinking that basically Lorenzo hiding something because of how he is talking about Sonia. And the way he is just acting around her is telling that they are basically sleeping together. And Juliana is trying to convince Sylvia that this is happening, and you need to basically kick that woman out of your house, and you should have never let her in. But Sylvia is not able to see that. After she basically got hurt, she got basically her head injured, and basically a person who is working together with Sonia beat her basically with something and basically put her in a hospital. And after she recovered, she's not seeing any connection to Sonia. She's not seeing any possible connection, to what's happening with her and Sonia. Between those two things, she's not able to see any possible connection. And Sonia basically is making sure that she would never see that, because every time she is together with Sylvia, she is using this exact technique, the seduction, the flirting, everything possible. But it wouldn't work forever, of course. Sonia knows that at some point she needs something like foolproof, like she needs something that would really make Sylvia hate Lorenzo forever. She needs basically to ruin Lorenzo and to make him seem in Sylvia's eyes as someone who betrayed her. And she needs the only one thing. She needs just to seduce him completely and make him basically fall for her finally, and to basically make this another secret, so she can basically leverage, after sleeping with Lorenzo, she can leverage this and using this against him, and basically to reveal this secret to Sylvia if something goes wrong, And they did basically hook up, and they basically did that because the situation was just perfectly suitable for this to happen. And Sonia once again used her tricks, and he pretended as if she's talking to somebody on a phone, and basically Lorenzo fell for it because he is himself just trying to help. Every time he sees that someone's suffering, someone's crying, someone's in trouble, and he sees Sonia crying, and she used basically that perfect performance to make this happen. And after this, basically Juliana, Sylvia's best friend, is still trying to investigate this situation between Lorenzo and Sonia. And she is basically doing the thing that Sylvia is not capable of. She is even trying to, to see if this perfume of Sonia's matching the perfume on Lorenzo's clothes, to see if they wore clothes, to see if they really had intimacy. So basically Lorenzo was spotted on, and she knows that basically she's right, and she has some motive basically, because her intention is not only to prove that Lorenzo is sleeping with Sonia and to reveal that to her friend Sylvia. Her initial intention was way more complicated, I would say, because she has an affair with Lorenzo herself, and to some point before Sylvia and Lorenzo decided to get their marriage back on track, before they reunited and before they decided to, give another chance to their marriage, she was a mistress of Lorenzo, and she is a wife of his brother, which is even more terrible. And knowing that, she sees basically this situation with Sonia as a replacement for their situation with Lorenzo. So she sees that right now she is feeling like he replaced her with Sonia. And her initial intention is to basically call out Lorenzo for what he's doing with Sonia, because of she's just jealous. She's just jealous of a new woman being with him, and not because of she's trying to help her friend Sylvia. So her initial intention in this situation is just not really good, kind of selfish. So that what happened between, that trip when they first time met, and after Lorenzo finally fell for Sonia, and she is now on like halfway to her final hit, because her final hit is basically to ruin his reputation completely. And in next video I will show you how she basically managed to ruin his situation, ruin his momentum, because Lorenzo is currently running for Attorney General. He's gonna be elected, but Sonia, she is about to ruin that moment. So see you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.